I can tell you some people's voices who should be suppressed right now for pushing false narratives out there. And it's all the people who bought into the whole New York Times, The Guardian wrote about it. Remember, Russia secretly offered Afghan militant bounties to kill U.S. troops. Intelligence says. Intelligence says. Well, you know.
Well, if the New York Times says it, then it's
you got to
fact.
believe it, right?
Yeah.
You know, the pushers of the Iraq war there. Well, as we know, it's starting to get debunked left and right. In fact, the president and his whole administration is now kind of walking it back, moonwalking Joe once again. The Daily Beast wrote an article the other day. It was a blockbuster story about Russia's return to the imperial great game in Afghanistan. The Kremlin had spread money around the longtime Central Asian battlefield for militants to kill remaining U.S. forces. It sparked a massive outcry from Democrats and their #resistance amplifiers about the treasonous Russian puppet in the White House, whose admiration for Vladimir Putin had endangered American troops. But on Thursday, the Biden administration announced that the U.S. intelligence only had low to moderate confidence in the story at all. Translated from the jargon of spy world, that means the intelligence agencies have found the story is, at best, unproven and possibly untrue.
That's being nice.
Fam, they went on a crazy, crazy spree about talking about this shit left and right. They used this.
And the Daily Beast is even reporting that. In the Daily Beast, remember, it's a neoliberal think tank.
Yeah.
They smeared us, remember?
And really, to tell you the truth, all this stuff about right now, this fight, the reason why the censorship is heightened is because it's the disinformation out there. We got to stop disinformation. We have to stop
misinformation
or disinformation, whichever one you want to call it.
Yeah.
Here's a tweet by Michael Brendan Doherty and Glenn Greenwald. We need to have a serious discussion about how disinformation about Russian bounties threatens our democracy. I think the least Twitter and Facebook could do is permanently suspend every single journalist and outlet who spread this damaging fake news. Fam, is there a chance they'll do it?
No.
Will anybody be taken down? Remember the whole thing with QAnon. The reason why they're censoring people. They're putting people's lives in danger. We can't let them spread misinformation, disinformation. We have to take them down. But once again, here comes the mainstream media. Here comes our Congress. They did it with weapons of mass destruction, right? Never happened.
They did it with Russiagate.
They did it with Russiagate. Now they did it with bounties in Afghanistan. They do this shit all the time. They're never held accountable. They never have to apologize. And and we get taken down and we get censored. But go figure.
Did you read that?
Well, I read the one below it. It says it's pretty much he says the same thing. Will Twitter retroactively place on the media tweets that pushed this dangerous Russian bounty story disinformation tags and consider the banning or at least suspending some of the journalists who spread it? Same thing, pretty much. No, Glenn, you know they're not going to do that, and Glenn put that out there. So I love the way he writes his tweets and stuff like that. He can be so sarcastic at times. And I just want to remind everybody that everybody out there went pushing this narrative. Every single top Democrat. Biden slams Trump over the Russia report, offered bounties for Afghan militants to kill U.S. soldiers. Kamala Harris pushes unverified story about Russian bounties on American troops in the Middle East. Pete Buttigieg, 25 days and still waiting for the president of the United States to comment on reports of Russian bounties on our troops. You know, what we need to do is, first, what I'm going to do as president, I'm going to restore the integrity of the United States, of democracy. I can't remember what he said, some bullshit answer.
Something like
Adam Schiff for brains, warmongering Adam Schiff. Americans are outraged by reports that Russia offered bounties on U.S. troops.
Americans didn't care.
The only American who isn't, Donald Trump. Trump is again taking the Kremlin side and calling it a hoax. This is no hoax, Mr. President. But it is time you put our troops first instead of Putin.
That didn't age well, Mr. Schiff.
Well, I'm sure he went and apologized today, fam. No, he didn't. I mean, and it's disgusting because they know better. Remember good old Nance? Here's a little video on good old Nance pushing the narrative.
This is as bad as it gets. And yet the president will not confront the Russians on this score, denies being briefed, whether he is or not. His administration knows, and our allies some of our allies who will work with us in Afghanistan have been briefed and accept this report. Just as I've said to the president With him, all roads lead to Putin. He will not. He will. I don't know what the Russians have on the president, politically, personally, financially, or whatever it is. Russia's never gotten over the humiliation they suffered in Afghanistan, and now they're taking it out on us, our troops. This is totally outrageous. You would think that the minute the president heard of it, he would want to know more instead of denying that he knew anything. This is appalling. This is beyond. The list is a long one in terms of his ignoring what Russia has done. You see what he is a gift to Russia to diminish our leadership in NATO, diminish our troops in Germany, all a gift to Putin. Something is very wrong here.
Yeah, something is wrong with you. You see the way she puts our allies in there. What is he doing in NATO? This is the other country.
She says nothing though. She offers zero information or details verifying any of that. You notice how she does that? She just talks about Trump, this and Putin and that, and all the emotional fluff, but she doesn't offer any receipts.
All roads lead to Putin.
All roads lead to Putin.
You know, Nancy, just so you know, the roads that lead to Putin come from me. Okay. Yeah. Like, just so you know, I have a straight, a pipeline to Putin, so to speak.
It would have been a nice day for the I love Putin thing. But, and Joe Biden, listen, they all knew this was a lie, okay?
At least her mask matched her outfit, though. That's admirable.
Well, she had her mask on. If she took it off, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But what Robbie said before is really true. If they have a chance to politicize something, they're going to take it and politicize the shit out of it. And I believe they all knew the whole time, because just listening to them the way they talk, they did that Rachel Maddow. If this is true, if this is true,
but we're going to act like it's true the whole time.
We're
just
not going to
say it.
Yeah. Here's Joe Biden.
I'd like to start today by briefly addressing what I consider to be a horrifying revelation in the New York Times last night. Assuming the Times report is accurate, the U.S. intelligence community has assessed that a Russian military intelligence unit, the same unit that was behind the assassination of the former KGB agent in London 5 years ago, has been offering bounties to extremist groups in Afghanistan to kill U.S. troops. There is no bottom to the depth of Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin's depravity. If that's true, it's truly shocking revelation that if the Times report is true, I emphasize again, is that President Trump, the commander-in-chief of American troops serving in a dangerous theater of war, has known about this for months, according to the Times, and done worse than nothing. Not only has he failed to sanction or impose any kind of consequences on Russia for this egregious violation of international law, Donald Trump has continued his embarrassing campaign of deference and debasing himself before Vladimir Putin. He has this information, according to the Times, and yet he offered to host Putin in the United States and sought to invite Russia to rejoin the G7. His entire presidency has been a gift to Putin, but this is beyond the pale. It's a betrayal of the most sacred duty we bear as a nation, to protect and equip our troops when we send them into harm's way. And it's a betrayal of every single American family with a loved one serving in Afghanistan or anywhere overseas. And I'm quite frankly outraged by the report. And if I'm elected president, make no mistake about it, Vladimir Putin will be confronted and will impose serious cost on Russia.
Yep.
But I don't.
Well, they did, right? I mean, come on, guys. This is the country with
Kremlin,
with the same amount of nuclear weapons that we have, or close to it. They're the other country that can blow up the planet about 17 times with just what they have in their submarines.
Yeah,
it's the Cold War was no
but
joke.
They don't have the same amount of bases nor the same amount of military power and outside of the weapons, right?
Yeah.
Outside of the military presence we have are hundreds of bases.
Yeah. This is one of the other three. There's three super
China,
global powers: China, America, Russia. We really don't want to go to war with them, and the rhetoric is disgusting, and the way they just politicized it and stuff. I mean, Psaki is now trying to do damage control. I have a tweet up from Max Blumenthal, a friend of the show, has been on before. Of course, he says, Mad Max, the White House has now admitted, or do I read the second one? Sorry, White House spokesperson Jen Psaki has admitted the Russian bounty hoax Biden exploited as a campaign attack line was based on worthless testimony by detainees gathered by Afghan intelligence. Okay? So right now they're walking it back. They're trying to do damage control. But the thing I can't understand is that, and Glenn Greenwald talked about this a while ago. Russiagate was very damaging and dangerous because what they're doing in Congress is they're actually making policies based off conspiracy theories, right? I mean, Russiagate wasn't true. We found out it wasn't true.
No. That's what you're doing, Pasta.
Well, I mean, and now here we are. The bounty story in Afghanistan wasn't true. But yet they're still using that because in the public eye, it's Russia bad, Russia bad. How many times do we see Democrats now that say, oh, Putin, you got to watch out for Putin? Because I heard Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner say Putin.
So many Democrats.
Too
many progressives still saying in the whole Assad is connected to Putin.
Yeah.
Trope.
And here, what do they do? So if all this stuff is not true, then why do they go out there and impose this wide array of sanctions on Russians for malign actions? I mean, because right now what they're amping up is the Ukraine thing. Oh, they're getting on the border. They're being hostile. They're doing that.
Right.
We had Sloboda on the show. He explained to us, this is, no, they really don't want this shit to go on. They're not at the border. They're not amping up stuff. But we did say the band got back together, and all the war hawks and the Biden administration and the Obama administration that did do their shit in Ukraine are back in power with the same stuff. But once again, here comes our government. Here comes the military apparatus again. They want to save NATO, right? They want us to give a reason for us to give money to our friends, keep NATO alive. Joe Biden's always been a big NATO fan. So they push this narrative in the mainstream with the media, telling stories about bounties, telling stories about Russiagate. And now they counteract that by making policies and forcing sanctions off of lies. It's dangerous. That's why this rhetoric is dangerous. Because now it's coming forth in the face of policies. Blinken, his tweet. Good old Mr. Grover. Today, the United States took far-reaching actions against the Russian government in response to its harmful acts. We will continue to hold Russia to account for its adversarial actions. I'm surprised he didn't mention Putin in that tweet. Like, I'm surprised.
What are adversarial acts has Russia done? We're the ones pushing the sanctioning.
Yep.
Like, we're the ones that are falsely accusing them of things consistently. I mean, if I were a Russian, I would hate us.
Yeah.
I just don't, like, this does nothing but just bring more hate into this country, for this country that should be hated, right? But like, it's not our fault. It's our government's fault. It's what they're fucking doing. And they're trying to manufacture consent to have these conflicts with Russia because they, like, if it's not Russia, it's China, right?
Yeah.
If it's not China, it's Iran. It's like, it's what, like, this is just, and they make shit up.
They do.
And they are allowed to, while we try to tell the truth. And we are censored for it.
And there's no accountability for it.
Nothing. Like, if we make a mistake, we're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to say that.
they get promotions, Johnny.
No.
They get paid more. They get promoted.
They get promotions, Johnny.
And you know who's suffering is all the people in those countries that the sanctions are happening.
Exactly. And that's not to mention, Johnny, though, when Obama was in office and stuff like that, and Joe Biden was at the helm of this, NATO was moving ballistic missiles to the borders of all the Baltic states that are now NATO members against Russia. They were the ones who were really amping up the freaking tensions. It was us and NATO.
Not to mention the fact that we backed and armed neo-Nazis
in Ukraine.
And like, hello.
Yeah, and the mainstream media is going along with the military-industrial complex, selling the public a false set of goods, okay? False bill of goods, if you want to say, and then you just let it go. Well, Putin's really bad, you know what I'm saying? And, well, I think we have to make sure that he knows his place, so sanctions are okay and stuff. You got the Ukraine thing, you got the bounties. Like, oh, yeah, well, that's all lies. That's all bullshit. Yet you're buying it. And that's what they're selling you. And it's disgusting because now they're making policy based upon a pack of lies.
Again.
A pack of lies. Johnny, what'd you get up there?
Yeah, I just wanted to add this part where Glenn Greenwald, that Steve read from his Substack, he said, Greenwald has a hell of a piece up on Substack that could be one of those bridges to get people away from the narrative management factories that dominate the media landscape. And so here's what it says. It says, this is what Glenn Greenwald said. It says, any journalist who treats unverified stories from the CIA or other government agencies as true without needing any evidence or applying any skepticism is worthless. Actually, they are worse than worthless. They are toxic influences who deserve pure contempt.
Absolutely.
Every journalist knows the government lies constantly, and that is a betrayal of the profession to serve as mindless mouthpieces for these security agencies. This is why they will vehemently deny they do this if you confront them with this accusation. They know it is a shameful thing to do. But just look at what they're doing. Exactly this. They are not journalists. They are obsequious spokespeople for the CIA and other official authorities. Yeah. Even when they learn that they deceive millions of people by uncritically repeating a story that the CIA told them was true, they will, on the very same day that they learned they did this, do exactly the same thing.
Yep. Yeah.
And
that's why they're not held accountable, Johnny. They're not held accountable, so they double down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They can't, no. But again, like everybody else is being censored. Glenn Greenwald's on Substack because he can't even have a job at The Intercept because The Intercept's
and he
corrupt.
Started the paper.
I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous, man. Like,
I asked Jimmy Dore yesterday when he was on the show about like what type of people they pick. Well, I'd like to ask Glenn what type of people they pick for the media, and I'm sure he'll tell me the same thing. They pick people who are willing to play ball.
Well, and that's what he says in that excerpt. It's like their job, like they're not journalists because the job of a journalist is to document the abuses of power by those people who hold it. Yep. Like, so whether it's the police, whether it's the national security state, whether it's government officials, journalists are supposed to look at the abuses of power and make sure that if they're doing something wrong, you write about it or you broadcast it to point into the truth and say, no, you shouldn't be doing that. That's how journalism was supposed to be. It has become a profession of just regurgitating with the same narrative that these politicians are okay with, doing the PR for them. And it's basically all they're doing is writing press releases and PR scripts for them to make sure that everybody looks good, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, whatever. Like, that's their whole fucking job, is to make sure that the public believes what they want them to believe. Yeah. And that's not journalism.
No, that's propaganda. It's PR. And, what's even worse is that they censor people like us. Why are they censoring little old us, the Convo Couch, 3-person team over here? But because we start speaking the truth, and that's part of the censorship. It's not just putting one down, it's putting up your narrative up. So they put the deep state, the military-industrial complex,
Can't
all
say
their
deep
needs.
State.
Can't say deep state. They put their narratives up, suppress ours, and therefore they control the narrative that way. But you know what? Hey, man, we're just going to keep screaming louder from the couch. We're not going to stop, even if YouTube does shut us down. But I also think that we have to have Glenn Greenwald on the show to do You've Been Exposed. Because Glenn Greenwald exposes everybody, not just to the mainstream media. He'll even expose the independent media on the left. Yeah, that's trying because he knows they can be just as dangerous because they're acting like, oh, we're independent, we're off the grid, we're not part of the mainstream corporations, but we're going to tell you the truth. But they don't. So here's a beautiful tweet. Real reporting about the breaking news of the Brazilian High Court confirms annulment of ex-President Lula's graft convictions, clearing the way for the popular leftist to run in next year's presidential election against far-right incumbent Bolsonaro. And he said real reporting, and then he says never would have happened without Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, Benjamin Dixon, Vosh V, and all of the other extremely courageous left liberal YouTube warriors who risk so much to confront repression, corruption, and authoritarianism wherever it's found, no matter the cost. Hands, fist. He's beautiful in his sarcasm. I love him. Emma tries to go back at him over there. Johnny, you want to read that, or should I read it? Yeah, we don't need to read it. Emma tries to go back. Vosh tries to play it off. But you've been exposed.
We are serious journalists. Yeah. Don't you know? Yeah. We're serious. Well, I wouldn't go that far, Sam Cedars. That was funny. I can't get over that clip. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
We're serious journalists here.
Oh, Lord.
God. Okay, guys.
What else we got?
We got anything else?
Really quick, it's still on the Russian bounty story. Apparently, here's a supercut of all the mainstream media.
All right. Look at you, Johnny.
Did you bring the popcorn?
Oh, God, I want my 3D glasses on right now.
So Matt Taibbi said, this jingoistic horseshit is straight out of Starship Troopers. Doubt we'll see even one expression of embarrassment about it. This is what we were talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No accountability. So let's see this. 653,000 views.
In our Worldly Today, President Trump dismissing the Russian bounty intelligence story as a hoax meant to damage him and Republicans. The president often touts his relationship with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin.
The White House also responding tonight to a bombshell report accusing Russia of offering bounties to the Taliban to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan.
And now you know from this reporting in the New York Times, which has since been confirmed by the Wall Street Journal, that not only does the president know that Russia was paying for American soldiers' deaths.
News. Get this. The Washington Post is now reporting that the alleged Russian bounties to Taliban fighters in Afghanistan are believed to have resulted in the deaths of U.S. troops.
Like this New York Times story about a stunning U.S. intel assessment, finding that Russia secretly offered Afghan militants bounties to kill U.S. troops.
So comes under fire over those bombshell reports that the White House was told Russia was paying bounties to kill U.S. troops in Afghanistan.
The most important application of that question is what did the president know about Vladimir Putin offering a bounty for the killing of American soldiers in Afghanistan, and when did he know it?
A senior Afghan official confirmed to CBS News that the reports were not only true, but the Russian government achieved some success with their plans.
Barry Cayley, I cannot tell a lie McEnany, insists the president does in fact read everything he needs to read. We need to look at the real threat to U.S. troops and the risk that Russia was putting a bounty on their heads.
That Americans found out this weekend that Vladimir Putin is paying to put bounties on the heads of American troops.
Telling CNN that the White House was warned about Russia offering bounties, actual bounties to kill U.S. troops in Afghanistan.
He's not even there yet. He's still suggesting that the reporting about the fact that there were these bounties offered is fake. Meanwhile, your organization, the New York Times and others, are getting some fairly detailed reporting about how it actually works.
Despite those denials over and over, sources tell CNN that last week the U.S. even shared that intelligence with British officials, as some of the British troops would have been targeted as well.
Yeah, to say nothing of putting bounties on American troops.
It's unbelievable, Joy.
Yeah.
Public reporting that Russia had bounties on the heads of American soldiers. And you know what a bounty is? If somebody puts a price on your head and they will pay it if you are killed.
Professor Harris. Wow. Johnny, should anybody be taken down for spreading disinformation, misinformation, whatever you... I don't even know what you call it nowadays.
MSNBC, New York Times, CNN, all of them. Rachel Maddow's such a terrible actress, by the way. You can tell she's acting.
Send this over to YouTube so they can... for breaking the policy of misinformation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I'm going to become a little snitch. Hey, YouTube, these people were breaking. Take them down. Deplatform these fascists.
And now they're making policy. They're making policy and sanctioning another country. You know what Mr. Mike Gravel told us? Sanctioning a country is an act of war. Plain and simple. Sanctioning a country. But, I mean, it's disgusting. It really is. And they've sold you a fake bill of goods, and they've told you that orange is blue and this is that, and yet you bought it and you repeat it, you regurgitate it, and it's disgusting.
I'm quitting. That's it. I'm quitting the Convo Couch. I'm gonna go work for these people. Do you know how easy it would be to work at what I mean? Just literally, you get a whole thing that you're supposed to report on. You sit there, you read from a teleprompter, and you look like you need to take a shit, but you can't, and you just look so serious. Like what's his face with his little tie. And you just read this shit and you're appalled, like as if this is fucking true. It would be so easy. It'd be like acting class 101. Yeah. It would be so great, fam. And then you get paid all this fucking money. And then
I like the way you said act like you got to take a shit, but don't do it.
Like I just don't like like they're constipated. I just can't like.
They put extra oomph in that one though, fam. You got to give some credit.
How?
Get a load of this, says Wolf Blitzer. Get this.
Get this.
Like, oh my God, it's serious.
Do you know what a bounty is?
They put a price on your head.
Oh my God.